Good afternoon. Thought it was time for a extra video today for the Disney series. I keep mentioning that in addition to talk about planning, I'm also going to talk about my views and what I thought of the last trip. So I'm going to do a little bit of that today. Specifically, the top foods that I remember. The ones that I'm going to have to go back and have again the next time I'm there. My top tips for restaurants that I just really had a great time at, and why. In no particular order, because I'm just going to start spouting them out as they come to me, and I'm not going to say it's top 5 or anything, because I have no idea how many I'll come up with. But one of the first ones that I have to throw out there, have to say it, cannot say it enough, get over to Port Orleans French Quarter and have the beignets. They are great. I'm originally from Louisiana. These are probably some of the best beignets I've had outside of the state of Louisiana, and a whole lot better than what I expected Disney beignets to be like. I don't know why I didn't expect them to be good, but I didn't, and they were. Big plus. One thing I will say about them, though, something they're a little bit tricky with, is using a snack plan credit. If you're on the dining plan, you can get a plate of 3 beignets for a snack credit, or you can get a plate of 6 beignets for a snack credit. So I really don't see why I ever saw anyone with a plate of 3 beignets. Get the 6. Believe me, even if you think it's too much, get the 6. You'll end up wanting more. Believe me. So that is a big must-have. We're not staying at the French Quarter this time around, so it will be a little bit more of a trek to get them. But my own personal thought is, since they do serve them all day long, one of the days that we are at Disney Springs, I'll hop on the boat up to French Quarter, grab a plate of beignets, and eat the beignets on the way back down the boat, back to Disney Springs. Why not? The next one I've got to talk about, just because it was phenomenal, was the dinner at Ohana's. Ohana's is the restaurant in the Grand Polynesian Resort. It's kind of a Polynesian island theme, and the dinner there is served family style. Big plus already. If you're there with a group of people, especially if it's a family with some kids involved, family style is the way to go. For those who don't know what that means as far as Disney terms, family style means that most items are brought on a serving plate and put in the middle of the table for everyone to help themselves to. You don't order individual meals. It's not a buffet. It's a menu that they bring out to the table. Everyone takes what they want off of it. Now, what made Ohana's special is the fact that they bring you all of the kind of starting elements to the meal, but then when it gets to the main elements, the meat, there are people walking around the restaurant with 2 or maybe 3 foot long metal skewers. Big old long metal things full of meat. There was one with some really nice, like, spiced beef. There was one with chicken. There was one with shrimp. And they come around to the table, and if you want some, you kind of wave them over. And they put that skewer down next to your plate. They take their knife, and they scoop off a couple big chunks of meat onto your plate. And throughout the meal, these guys keep coming round. So you can keep topping up that meat. Like I said, beef, chicken, shrimp. I don't remember if there were any others or not. Those were the 3 that I focused on. And you can just keep having more and more and more of it. Excellent meal. Brilliant meal. Loved it. Where else really jumped out? My family, and this I have seen varying by degrees, we really enjoyed Rainforest Cafe and T-Rex. Now, the reason I'm lumping these two together is because they're actually run by the same people. So, for anyone who is familiar with Rainforest Cafe elsewhere, they are all over the place, not just in Disney. They are some heavily themed restaurants. By that I mean you're like walking through a jungle as you go through the restaurant, or a rainforest, or whatever it might be. In the case of T-Rex, you're walking through a glacier and kind of a jungle full of dinosaurs. In the case of the Rainforest Cafe and Animal Kingdom, there are monkeys swinging overhead. There are lighting effects. There are sound effects. There are kind of ambient animal noises. At T-Rex in particular, every 10 or 15 minutes, there's a massive asteroid strike where you hear the sound and then there's this massive explosion, flashing lights, and then everything goes dark for a few minutes as it kind of cycles through the pattern. Our grandkids loved it. They had a great time with them. The food was good. I mean, the food was probably some of the most mass market at the Disney resorts. By that, what I mean is you had a lot of kinds of like typical restaurant burgers. You had your chicken nuggets, you had your chips, you had kind of your standard restaurant fare. It was not Disney, because as you'll know, Rainforest Cafe is not a Disney restaurant. They are at Disney, but they are a separate thing. So the food was good, it was nice, but what really sold it for our family was the atmosphere. Our grandkids, especially our grandson, was just over a year old, loved it. And my wife and I did too. It was a lot of fun. It was something different. So that's one that we'll definitely go back to again this time. We might not do Rainforest and T-Rex. We might do one or the other. In fact, I think we're talking about booking T-Rex this time down at Disney Springs and leaving Rainforest this time. So yeah, that was really good. I would say those are kind of the top. The next one that I'm going to get to then is another family-style restaurant. It's the Garden Grill. Now, the Garden Grill is a meet and greet in Epcot in the Lands Pavilion. We were there for lunch, and we were actually there for lunch on Thanksgiving Day. So I don't know how much of their menu was altered for it being Thanksgiving, and I don't know how much of it is their standard menu. What I do know is it was really good. Really good. There was turkey, there was ham, there was mac and cheese, there was some sort of different green beans, corn, vegetables. It was basically a family dinner, served family style. So nobody had, things on their plate they didn't want. Everyone took what they wanted out of it. There were some fries for the kids as well. And on top of that, Garden Grill is a meet and greet. So you got to meet Farmer Mickey, you got to meet Pluto, you got to meet Chip and Dale. And there was also the fun of the fact that the Garden Grill is a rotating restaurant. So the restaurant is completely circular. It's on a conveyor, and it actually moves around in a circle. And it's sat on top of the Living with the Land ride. So off of the edge of the restaurant, you can actually look down and see parts of the the ride that's below you, so you can see all of the scenery, you can see all the parts of it. Our granddaughter had a great time with it because it's just very different. You know, every time you stop and you start talking to people, or you look down at your plate for a few seconds, and you know, a minute later you look up again and you're in a different place. There are different kind of there's a rocky area, there's a jungle area, so it changes as you go through it, and it makes for a very interesting kind of scenery for your meal. I'd say that would be another must-have to do again. The last one that I'm going to talk about today, so I guess we are kind of looking at an out-of-order top 5, is actually Casey's Hot Dogs. Now, this place is always busy. Now, part of it being always busy could be the fact that they do really good hot dogs. The other part of it is they're a fast, quick service restaurant right at the end of Main Street, right in kind of the heart of Disneyland, Disney World in the Magic Kingdom. So, yeah, they're going to be busy. There's never going to be enough seating room. You kind of have to just expect that and go with it. But the hot dogs are so good. Don't ever get a regular hot dog, though. Always go large. It's not just a matter of the size. It is a different hot dog. And the large hot dogs are far superior to the regular ones. So get the big ones. Enjoy it. They're really good hot dogs. About the closest thing I've had to a Dodger dog since my last time I was in Los Angeles at Dodger Stadium. So there you have it. So that's the 5 restaurants that I really, really, really enjoyed. The other thing that I do want to do is talk about a couple restaurants that you should really, in my opinion, stay away from. And there's 3 of them on this list, really. The first one, the one that I would not wish on anyone, that was just really, really bad when we were there, was Planet Hollywood Observatory at Disney Springs. The food was mediocre at best. That's really being generous, if I'm honest. On top of that, the waitress was completely unhelpful, completely uninterested. Worst service we had in all of Disney. On top of that, the place was loud, too loud. And I mean, I'm talking about how we enjoyed Rainforest Cafe and T-Rex, and they've got dinosaurs roaring through the place. But Planet Hollywood was too loud, and not in a good way. And then on top of that, we ordered a meal which should have included a starter, a main, and a dessert. The girl took our order for our starters and our mains, said we'd do our desserts at the end. When we finished our mains, she brought us the check, never asked us what we wanted for dessert, and then when we mentioned dessert, basically told us, oh, well, you didn't say you wanted dessert, so I've already closed out the check, so I can't do anything about it now. And then proceeded to blatantly ask us, so how much tip are you leaving me? So, avoid the observatory, Planet Hollywood at Disney Springs. Not worth the headache at all. The next one I would say to avoid, and this one is a bit mixed. It really is a bit mixed. But Cinderella's Royal Table in the Magic Kingdom. Now, and this is an avoid kind of with an asterisk next to it, because in the situation we were in, we had a granddaughter. It was her 4th birthday. She had been to the boutique and gotten all princessed up, and then we went and had a meal with the princesses. Yes, great. That's why you go to Cinderella's royal table. If you're not in that kind of a situation, don't go to the royal table. The food is not worth the money. It's not. We used 2 dining credits for it, and I would have been happier with a hot dog from Casey's. The food was just not anything memorable. I couldn't even tell you what I ate. It's really not memorable. I just remember being very disappointed in it. Now the place is amazing. You go up into the castle, you're eating in the castle with the princesses walking around. Yeah, you're doing it for the atmosphere. I get it. If you're not doing it for the atmosphere, if you don't have someone who is having a princess day and wants to visit all of the other princesses, if that's not where you are, that's not where you should be. And the last one, the other place that I simply would not ever recommend to anyone. The place that I felt completely ripped off. And a lot of people love this one as well. A lot of people swear by it, and a lot of people, it's nearly impossible to get a reservation because that many people want to go to it, is Be Our Guest. Be Our Guest, situated in Beast's Castle. Again, very much like the Royal Table, you're paying for atmosphere. It's in Beast's Castle. There's these massive gargoyles at the gate. There's this massive bridge leading over to it. You go in and you have the different rooms of the castle. You have the ballroom and the west wing and this and that. But you're paying for a pretty looking room. The food is rubbish. The meal that we had there, I would have been happier if they would have let me just bring in a McDonald's to sit in that room and eat it. The food is not worth eating. And again, this was costing us, table credits when I would have rather had a hot dog. It was just not good food. So I would not recommend Be Our Guest. I would not recommend the Royal Table unless you have a princess with you. And I would not recommend Planet Hollywood to anyone for any reason. Yeah, there we are. My top 5 go-to restaurants and my top 3 don't go-to restaurants. Hopefully someone's found that helpful. Comment below. Maybe your experiences have been different from mine. But based on my last trip, there are a few places that I don't think will ever get my patronage again. And there are more places that definitely will. Have a great day. Enjoy your week. And I'll be back with more Disney stuff on Friday. Unless I just decide to randomly throw in an extra one here and there for no reason whatsoever. Like, subscribe. See you later.